Real confidence isn't built overnight. It's built with small, quiet habits and promises that you keep to yourself and build it over time. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 habits that will quietly build your confidence back. This is going to be some real information. None of that social media crap that just is there to get views and not to actually give you knowledge. And what you'll learn is that you don't become confident randomly, or it just doesn't come to you like God has sent it down from the heavens. You earn your confidence and your self-worth in small, tiny moments. In 1977, a Stanford University study proved that confidence grows with competence, which means that more of the small things that you do, the smaller goals that you achieve, gives your brain the evidence to make it think, yes, I can do this. And that directly fuels confidence and self-worth. So it doesn't randomly show up, or it doesn't come from when somebody actually believes in you. It doesn't matter. 1,000,000 people can believe in you. It only shows up when you prove to yourself that the actions you do, you're actually going to do and get done. It shows up when you believe your own actions, meaning it shows up when you actually believe your actions. And these aren't personality traits that you're born with. They're daily habits that you can actually adapt and adopt. And you can do these things every single day to build your confidence back, or build confidence that you never had. And what it is really evidence that's stacking up on top of each other slowly to prove to yourself that you have your own back. And what that means is self-esteem increases when people complete small, intentional tasks or goals. So it's not really about completing big goals and huge tasks, but it's about being certain of yourself and building that confidence over time to realize that you're worthy. So this idea of building confidence back takes a little bit of work, but with a little bit of work, you can get to a place that you want to be and achieve things that you only dreamt of. So there's a few reasons why people feel worthless. Now, most likely we're feeling worthless because we break promises to ourselves, or we chase these quick wins that we think will give us something that we don't have and make us feel different. But really, it's not the things on the outside that make the difference, that make us feel better. It's actually, we can make ourselves feel better within ourselves. It's the feeling of the thing, of achieving the thing, the feeling that we chase, the feeling of having more money, the feeling of being loved. We chase those feelings to make ourselves feel better. And we end up comparing ourselves to people online and to people we know, which, especially when you're comparing yourself to people online, can erode your confidence quickly, very fast. And every time we don't achieve the goal, or we ghost our own potential by not showing up to what we need to do, or what we promise to ourselves that we'll do, your brain keeps score. It's like ticks on a chalkboard. And if you've experienced any imposter syndrome, that often comes from ignoring your own small wins, realizing what you have actually achieved to get to the place where you are to actually feel that imposter syndrome. So let's get into what you're here for. The 5 habits that build real confidence and self-worth. So habit number 1, I briefly went over. It's keeping tiny promises to yourself. So why this is habit number 1 is that confidence starts to build the more you show yourself that you'll show up for something and that you can be trusted in these things. So taking those little tiny things and building them over time really helps. But starting very small. If your confidence is completely gone, start very small and you'll slowly get to where you want to be. And if you start to trust your own word that you'll show up, complete things, and do what you say, then you'll start to feel worthy and you'll start to build confidence on top of it. So like an example, there's this Navy SEAL trick out there that is just making your own bed every morning. For me, I don't make my own bed every morning. I kind of just realized that it's not something in my mind that I want to build or want to start with, because I know I'm just going to mess my bed up at the end of the day. But for you, it might actually help. What it teaches you is to take tiny little wins and rewire your belief in yourself. And your confidence starts to compound as you follow through on these things, even on the smallest little things. Like for me, my small little thing at the moment is, and it's been for the last couple of years actually. Well, let me take you back. I used to be 300 pounds and I lost a lot of weight, but I started my journey well over 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And my whole journey of like getting in shape or feeling better about my body was losing weight. But what I realized over time, I did lose the weight, but what I realized over time, it's like money. It's almost never enough. So what I work out for now is to feel better. I just like to feel better within inside myself. And I know that moving, walking, running, working out at the gym is good for me. It helps my mental clarity, especially. I feel way better when I'm working out constantly. Otherwise, sometimes my brain is all wired. Maybe I can blame it on my ADHD, but maybe I can't. I don't know. Anyways, my whole thing is just to take myself to the gym, to the parking lot. Sometimes I walk, sometimes I drive, depending if it's raining or not. Right now it's in Mexico City, it's rainy season, so I'll drive to the gym. But I'll make sure I get dressed, or if I'm already dressed, I just get in the car and go to the parking lot. And that's all I have to do. I don't even have to go in, but I always do go in. But just get to the parking lot. It's a lot easier for me to get to the parking lot in my head than to actually go to the gym and work out. And from there, maybe you could like just go to the gym and do one exercise. And you'll always do more, because when I go to the parking lot, I end up going in and doing more. I end up working out. I'm getting a good workout on usually. So that's one of my small things I do for a win. I don't tell myself to go all the time. I like to try to go almost every day. And when I don't beat myself up about it, because beating yourself out just does nothing for you. Habit number 2 is to track your wins no matter how small they are. Especially when you start off trying to build your self-trust back again, you want to start tracking your wins, writing it down in a notebook. And the reason you write it down in the notebook is because your brain needs receipts. And as you go along, you'll see the momentum build within the notebook of what you have done and what you have achieved. And everything builds up. And when your brain gets those receipts, it's a real thing. It's a real tangible thing that your brain sees what's going on there. And a good thing to remember is that your memory is probably bad. I mean, you won't remember everything you do, but your notebook's memory is always right, as long as you keep consistent with it. And what's great for me is having ADHD, seeing my progress spikes my dopamine. And that some way fuels my self-worth in a way. Just by seeing what I've done and what I created within myself makes me want to push further forward into the future with more things. Maybe not more things, but just why I want to continue doing it. And when you see that evidence start to pile up, your brain will start believing that you'll show up. Like my brain knows that even if I miss a few days at the gym, I will show up because I've proved to it that I can show up, and I will show up. And I know I will, and I know I will stay in shape, and I know I can get in better shape and just continue my journey in working out. Number 3, which is maybe the most important one, I think it's the most important one, is to speak to yourself like it's somebody that you respect. Now, self-talk, it can really rewire how you think about yourself and where you go in life, where you go with your goals, and what you can achieve, because we're really the only ones that hold ourselves back. And any neuroscientist will tell you that your brain believes anything that's repeated over and over in your head. Just think about it. You believe anything you tell yourself over and over again. That can be that you're not worth it, or that you can do anything. Wherever you go in between that, you can achieve that. You'll start to believe it. Could be positive or negative. So why not take that energy that you're putting into your negative self-talk and make it positive? It's the same amount of energy that you need to use. So you might as well use it for a positive reason. That negative talk is never really true anyways. And if you talk to your best friend that way, do you think they'd be sticking around? I hope not. I mean, if your best friend talked to you that way, would you want to stick around? I don't think many people would want to stick around if you talked to them the way you talk to yourself. So think about that. That's a big thing. You don't want to talk to yourself like that, because you don't deserve to be talked to like that. It's kind of like confidence grows in the mirror. It can grow in the mirror. Just if you want an example, take some affirmations, write them down. You know, I'm worthy. I can achieve anything. Write whatever, something positive down, 2 or 3 things that you say to yourself every morning when you wake up and every night when you go to bed. Stick them onto your mirror with sticky notes. I haven't really done the affirmation thing, but I know the things that I tell myself if I can achieve something or not achieve something, or if I'm not worth something. It actually makes a difference in my life. I've seen it over and over again. I've seen it with things that I've done in the past, businesses that I started. If I believed that I could do something, I could achieve it. But if I start to believe that I can't, nothing gets done. I don't achieve what I want to achieve. Habit number 4 is do hard things on purpose. Tiny versions of hard things. If you face discomfort, it can really build character. If you constantly face discomfort in different ways, you can build this unshakable self-trust with yourself. Like something like, online, it's very popular, but cold showers. Cold showers are hard. I've tried them. They're hard. But if you can consistently do a cold shower, maybe every day, a couple minutes, you can build this self-respect, this self-trust that you can get things done, because that's a really hard thing. Or, another hard thing for me, at least, is to wake up early. My son gets me up at 9 o'clock. I'm happy with that. Hopefully he doesn't wake me up any earlier, because if he does, it's fine. Wake up early. That's another thing. A big one is have hard conversations. I'm sure there's a lot of people in your life, or a few people in your life, that either say or do things that you don't quite agree with. Now, going in with respect and learning how to communicate properly, not to actually hurt those people, but to explain to them how you're feeling and that you don't agree with them, that could be another step towards making your life better and facing these hard things that you could do. Because sometimes it's hard to have a conversation with someone. But I find maybe you can learn how to communicate a little bit better, to get your point across to that person so they fully understand how you feel and how you come across, and that you're not actually upset with them, but who knows, you might be upset, but how to make your life better. Because if that person's always in your life, making it a little bit more difficult, maybe it's not them, maybe it's you. Maybe you need to learn how to tell them no, how to say no, how to not promise things you don't want to do, things like that. That can be a really hard thing to do. And those micro discomforts, they build up like a macro, like a long-term confidence that you would be really proud to have. And there's a saying, easy choices equals a hard life, and hard choices equals an easy life. Now, the hard choices as you're in them in the beginning might seem really hard, but over time, they get easier, which makes your life easier when you face these challenges. And when you rewire your brain, even though it feels hard, sometimes when you're learning something new, it hurts when I'm learning something new, it hurts my head. And when it hurts my head, I know I'm learning. And it's hard, but I know I'm learning something new, which will make my future better. Your brain rewires itself in tiny doses of resistance and small wins that you make with yourself. So don't be afraid of those hard moments. Number 5 is reflect without beating yourself up. Confidence doesn't mean perfection. Confidence doesn't equal perfection, and perfection doesn't equal confidence. What you need to do is to learn, adjust, and then continue with the game. Continue with what you're doing. You want to take what you learn as you go, your wins and your losses, and make sure you're figuring out what you need to adjust as you play the game. Because everything's kind of like a game. Just if you imagine it like a game, the more you adjust to the game, the more you learn and adjust, the better you can be as a player. And your confidence doesn't need to be flawless. Like being flawless isn't confident, but being flexible, understanding that you can be flexible in any situation, it builds a lot of confidence. So when you do that journaling, when you write down your wins, it builds your awareness of where you are. Even in the losses, you shouldn't have shame in the losses, because you write down those losses or what you haven't done, and you can understand where you've made the mistake and how to improve it later. Like the top performers, the billionaires, the millionaires, the people that run huge businesses, they debrief themselves after wins or losses. And if they lose, they don't just quit like regular people. Regular people will quit after something's hard and they fail at something once. They won't continue with that again. They won't adjust themselves to it. And that's what you want to do. You want to adjust yourselves a little bit. Even with these tiny little wins, or losses, you want to just kind of adjust yourself. Instead of me going to the gym and going and telling myself I'm going to lose weight, it's just showing up at the parking lot made it easier for me. That's how I adjusted it. That's how I adjusted my weight loss journey and my inner self, my confidence in myself that I'll go to the gym. And I built that over time. Like I said, it's been 12, 13 years since I started going to the gym to lose weight, and I'm still going, but it's easier now. Like over all this time, it's just easier. So here's an extra little thing is that the common pitfalls that kill your confidence, here are some things. Perfectionism, that definitely kills confidence. Do not try to make things perfect. You might have a desire to make something perfect, which is fine, but just understand that you won't be perfect in it. So don't waste your time trying to perfect it. Thinking that you need to be flawless and not being flawless can actually make you fail. Fail hard. It will burn you out. Remember, confidence is built with consistency, not perfection. Missing one day doesn't erase your worth. Like if you took a day off to watch Netflix or something like that and you didn't do anything, doesn't erase your self-worth. It's okay to take a day off, take some time off and not be perfect at it. Like even the highest class of athletes, they show up. And when it gets hard, they still show up even if they fail at something. They keep showing up every day. They keep showing up at it, but they also take time off. Bodybuilders take time off to rest their muscles. You need time to rest and enjoy your life. So don't forget to enjoy your life. Another thing is comparison. The comparison culture nowadays is intense. Like measuring yourself against other people destroys your own inner scoreboard, your own idea of how you keep score with yourself. So don't do that. Comparison is the fastest way to feel unworthy. And social media is a highlight reel. It's not real life. So you got to remember those people online, they're just showing you highlights of their life, not actually what's happening day to day. They have hard days too, trust me. No matter how successful they are, they have hard days. But this whole idea of this journey and this confidence journey, any journey, is that it's personal. It's personal towards you. My journey isn't going to be the same as yours. Nobody else's timeline matters to you. No one's timeline matters to me because my timeline is different than anyone else's. So don't try to follow somebody's timeline. You can have inspiration from somebody, but don't try to live their life. Live your own life. You have your own life and your own way to get to where you want to be. Just make sure at first you don't have too many goals, because you might have too many goals, but the follow through won't be enough. And your confidence will die and you'll get overwhelmed quickly. I mean, you get burnt out fast and you just want to bail if you add too many things to the list too quickly. So you don't need 10 habits. You only really need one habit to practice at first. And once you're really good at that habit, maybe you can add one more. And that focus on that one habit will start to build belief over time. And distractions with too many habits is just going to build doubt and burnout. Been there many times. Took a long time for me to learn. And over time, you can stack habits because it does work, but only when you have a base of that, maybe a first habit. You have to build a base first. You can't build the house all at once. So slow down, take your time, and just start with one thing. One thing that you can do every day that you can start trusting yourself again. And this will create a compounding effect. And the compounding effect is what changes your life. Tiny stacked habits daily equals massive self-worth over time. It's kind of like compound interest at the bank. Maybe your interest doesn't look like a lot, but over time, if you give it time, compound interest, you could have a lot of money you could save a lot of money in the bank. It sounds very boring at the beginning, but as you build it and in the future, you will become unstoppable. And what I find is that my identity forms through that follow through that time, through that action over time. Not the intention that I'm going to do something. It's the action that builds the personality, that builds the identity. And what I've noticed is that no one else is responsible for your wins. Like this all is built up privately, really. But when you build it privately, eventually it will show up everywhere. Eventually you'll want to make these little changes in your life everywhere. And it will become easy to identify them and start to build the habits. And all of a sudden you'll notice that your whole life has changed for the better. Starting today, just pick one little habit. That's your first step into your new confident life, your new confidence bank, let's just say, where you want to build that self-trust interest. I've created this 5-day self-trust starter kit and it's on my website. I'll put the link in the description. It costs you nothing but a few minutes a day, maybe 5 to 10 minutes a day to read these emails. It's just 5 emails in 5 days. They're very simple emails. There's a lot of stuff that we actually talked about that I could send you where you can practice something every day and learn something new about self-trust and how to trust yourself again. So remember, confidence isn't given. It's earned one action at a time. Thanks for watching.